I'm transgender. I use they, them, or its pronouns. I'm wearing a handy cheat sheet in case any of you forget that. It's also written up there. And I really like cake, and I think it says plants, and that's basically all the important information about me to start it off. And then there's lots of important information, but it's not that important at this exact moment. And so my presentation is going to look much better if you're sitting in pairs, to some degree. So if you're sitting alone, please find a friend to sit with. And being super serious, you have to do this. Awesome, thank you so much. Okay, so this is going to be super stereotypical. I would like all of you to think about who you are at this exact moment. And think of a word to describe that. You have 5 seconds, and say it to your friends around you. You need to talk. Okay, great. This is a short presentation, but I don't have time. And I want you to think about who you were, say, 5 years ago, and how you're different from them. And now find a word to describe that, and say it to your partner again. A lot of you are laughing. I'm kind of worried about this. I'm sorry if this is making anyone feel awkward, but it's kind of the point of this. Okay. Okay, we've got to get back on track. Come on. Okay, and now I want you to think about the exact time you fell asleep last night and how you quantify that. And don't talk about it to your partner. But just think about how you can tell exactly when you fell asleep. And keep that in mind because it'll be important later. And now we're going to move on. Okay, so because I'm transgender and a lot of my presentation is about gender and talking about it is what it isn't, I'm going to give you a quick trends 101 because a lot of people don't know that much about gender or they're scared to talk about it, and I think it's important that we all start on the same page so that no one feels awkward and everyone is super happy and like, yay, gender, I'm so cool with myself and everyone around me. So here's some fairly basic terms. They're on the screens on the side. When we're talking about gender, we basically use 2 or 3 key terms. These terms are cisgender, which is the top term, and if you're cisgender, it means that you identify with the gender you were assigned when you were born. So you popped out and the doctor was like, hooray, the baby, it is a girl, and you were raised as a girl, and you grow up and you're like, I feel like a girl. Whatever that means, more on that later. What is a girl? No one knows that. And if you're transgender or gender variant, it means that you don't identify as that. So for example, someone decided that I was a girl when I was born for a multitude of reasons. And I grew up and I decided about 2 years ago that this just didn't fit me very well. I was thinking one day I just broken up with someone, it was super sad, and I was having a little existential crisis. And I was like, oh no, what do I do? This girl I like. And I kind of got into this weird thought, and I was like, oh, what's a girl? And I was like, wait, what's a girl? I don't know what a girl is. Am I a girl? And then it sort of spiraled and it got out of control. And I realized that I was transgender. And so transgender or gender variant, depending on the individual, refers to someone who doesn't identify as the gender they were assigned. Transgender oftentimes is the umbrella term used, but many of us prefer gender variant, which may refer to non-binary genders, or genders outside of the male and female spectrum. More on that, this is the spectrum. Most people think of gender like this, with male on one side and female on the other, or girls and boys, whatever you like. I chose black and white because they're pretty polar opposites in our world. It's easy to see the difference. A lot of people think of being trans or gender variant as a continuum and that you fall somewhere on this line. The diagram actually looks more like this. It's a very accurate diagram. And as I realized I was trans, I was like, okay, well, I realized that I'm not a girl, what am I? So I started thinking about this more and more, and I realized that I actually fell outside the gender spectrum, somewhere around there. That green dot is me. So you have this super complicated, amazing spectrum that ends all sort of places, and there's no start, no beginning, and it's super confusing, and it overlaps a lot, and you normally don't think of curved lines as being in a spectrum, but whatever. You know, it's confusing. And so people who have genders oftentimes identify as either girls or boys. Those are kind of the dominant traits in our Western world, where we have these 2 polar opposites, and pretty much everything in our lives is put into those things. And so think of some traits that make a girl, and think of some traits that make a boy. You're probably thinking of physical characteristics, like body shape and genitalia and all those lovely things. And also things that we do to ourselves, like the kind of clothes we wear, whether or not they're fitted, if you're wearing makeup, like, I have a pink clip. I like pink, I'm not a girl, whatever. And so I also made a very nice Venn diagram which will tell you about the characteristics. And this is a highly accurate diagram, because the more you think about girls and boys, and both, neither, in between, not applicable, fluid, the more you realize that there is nothing that makes a girl, there is nothing that makes a boy, there is nothing that makes someone a gender, other than the way you feel about yourself. And so you look at all the people around you, right now, and you see a ton of different people who have a lot of different identities. And the more you look at them, the more you realize that you cannot tell someone's gender by looking at them. And this suddenly makes your world seemingly a lot more complicated, because we're used to looking at someone and being like, ah yes, I met this person, she likes doing this, but that person might not like she pronouns, so maybe you're making them really uncomfortable. But we just don't know this. So increasingly the world is moving towards a place of non-gendering. So you might say, oh, I met this person, they're really cool, because that doesn't enforce a gender on them. And it lets them be free and lets you be free. A bit more on pronouns now, because I talked about that earlier. Handy pronoun shirt, I use strange pronouns. What the heck is a pronoun? A pronoun is a word that replaces a noun. It's in the name, like adverb or adjective. It's pretty easy. So some fairly common pronouns are he, she, they, and it in our world. Some other pronouns are things like z, another z, different spelling, v, they, they. Some of those are probably written up there. And these are some pretty easy ways to use them. I really like Adventure Time, but I frequently don't do my homework because I'm watching Adventure Time. So these are some very handy ways to think about how you might want to conjugate some pronouns. This is just a simple how-to that is a practical application. And this is where my presentation ends, because of technical difficulties when most of it vanished. Yeah, it was just as funny as you all are laughing. That's okay, you don't have to laugh. And now I'm going to talk about the gradual instant, which is the name of my presentation. And this is what's really important about it. So I asked you all to think earlier about who you were 5 years ago and who you are now, and also when you fell asleep last night. And a lot of you probably thought about like the big changes that you've made in your life, and about who you were then and who you are now, and the biggest transitions that you've gone through. That was fun. Thank you for laughing. And so we all go through transitions each and every day. I go through transitions because I'm transgender. I also go through transitions because I'm trying to be a better person, or I'm trying to change something about myself, or I'm trying to get to a new place in my life. And each and every one of you goes through that. A lot of you are here because you want to learn some new things, and that's a transition you're trying to go through, a transition of becoming a bigger, greater person. And I'm very proud of all of you for doing that. Thank you very much for showing up to listen to us. And the gradual instant is the biggest transition you will ever go through. And this is where the falling asleep part comes in. So you think about falling asleep. Falling asleep is pretty interesting because you know you're falling asleep. You can feel yourself getting tired and you realize that you've started falling asleep. But of course you fall asleep, and unless you're an amazing lucid dreamer, you have no idea exactly when it happened. And this is a sort of gradual instant. A gradual instant is a transition that happens incredibly quickly, and you know the moment it's changed, but you have no idea how you got there, and you could not possibly quantify all the steps. Falling asleep is a very easy way to think about this. Thinking about the processes of transitioning, like my experiences being transgender, are much, much harder to quantify. So about 2 years ago when I came out, I realized that I was transgender and that I don't have a gender and I don't know what gender is, so I just sort of left it behind. And I thought, yes, I'm going to start my transition and I will get to a place and then I will be transgender and I will have completed the transition and I will be the most powerful person ever. And I will know exactly who I am. And 2 years later, I am not doing that anymore because it's not a good process and I have no idea what it means. Because I thought that the way to properly express myself would be to flatten my chest and wear baggy clothing and get like a body that didn't look like a girl, because of course I hadn't come to all these conclusions about gender yet, and I was new and excited and wanted to dash headfirst into it. But the more that I realized that gender is a constant transition, especially for me, and for all of the trans and gender varied individuals in our society. And that we would never stop changing, and every action we take pushes us forward and changes who we are in our gender and our being and our hair color, your clothes, your style, everything about you is constantly changing, and this is the gradual instant. And I've talked about the gradual instant a lot, and I'm sure, who understands what it is? Put up your hands, don't put up your hands, more of you should be putting up your hands. Okay, good, that's enough of you, I'm super happy you guys get that. Or if you didn't get it, I'd be like, oh heck, I wish you do a good job, you guys don't get it, this isn't important, it doesn't mean anything to you. So now I'm going to talk about why it means something to you. I think our world has a very, that's all right. I think our world has a very chronic case of people becoming very static. And so people have a start point and an end point, and they're like, ah yes, I'm going to make a lot of noise, I'm going to get out in the world, I'm going to do things, people are going to notice me, I'm going to go to school, I'm going to go to college and university, I'm going to get a house and a job, and then I will have become a person. I will be an adult, I will be successful, and I will know what I'm doing. And I'm pretty sure any adult in the world can tell you that that's incorrect, vastly. I am 18, I am a very underqualified adult. I do not feel like I have any idea what I'm doing. And that's okay. And so you apply the concept of the gradual instant to your life, and you look at yourself not as a point A and a point B, not about this one end of the spectrum and another end of the spectrum, but as a person going in infinite possibilities. And of course you won't know this, but you need to actually think about it and think about the process. Think about the gradual instant, and every moment that changes, you have achieved another goal. Your goals are each step of the way. It's like the paradox of Achilles running the race and always having to make it halfway before he finishes, so therefore never technically being able to finish the race, and yet he does. And this is you, and you have so much potential. And you have the ability to move in any way you want, constantly redefine yourself. And this is what makes you powerful. This is why the gradual instant is connected to you. And this is what groups us all together in the face of adversity. You can use the gradual instant to stand up against that which tries to push you down, against what tries to put you in the box, which is so much increasingly, and to step forwards and always move past it and always be able to adapt to your situations. Thank you.